Stop everything you are doing right now and check your pockets, your car, that old jar sitting on your shelf, because what you're about to hear could change your life forever. Most people see a quarter and think nothing of it. Just another coin, 25 cents, something to spend without a second thought. But hidden among millions of ordinary coins is one extraordinary piece, a rare 1976 D Mint Mark Washington quarter that collectors are willing to pay life-changing money for. Yes, we're talking about over $1 million. This isn't hype. This isn't fantasy. This is the reality of coin collecting, where tiny details can turn everyday pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. The coin in question comes from the iconic American Bicentennial celebration, the 1976 quarter featuring the dual date 1776 to 1976. Minted to honor 200 years of American independence, these coins were produced in massive numbers by the United States Mint. Millions were struck, circulated, and spent across the country. But among those millions, a mistake was born. And that mistake is what could make you rich. Now here's where things get interesting. Some of these 1976 D Mint Mark quarters, produced at the Denver Mint, were struck with what collectors call a doubling error. This isn't just any flaw. It's a rare and mysterious minting anomaly where the design appears slightly duplicated, as if the coin was stamped twice, but just slightly off. Imagine looking at the word Liberty or the date and noticing that the letters look shadowed, doubled, almost like they're vibrating. That's not damage. That's not weird. That's the kind of error collectors dream about. And in the world of rare coins, dreams like that can sell for staggering amounts. There have been whispers in the collector community, stories of rare bicentennial quarters with unusual strikes, off-center designs, and even experimental metal compositions. Coins that were never meant to leave the mint. Coins that somehow slipped through quality control and entered circulation like ghosts hiding in plain sight. That's why this coin has become legendary, because it could still be out there, right now. In someone's pocket. In a forgotten drawer. In a dusty coin jar sitting in the corner of a room. And that someone could be you. Let's break down exactly what you need to look for. First, the date. It must read 1776 to 1976. This confirms it's a bicentennial quarter. Next, check for the mint mark. You're looking for a small letter D, located just to the right of the date. This indicates it was minted in Denver. But here's the crucial part, the detail that separates a common coin from a potential million-dollar treasure. Look closely at the lettering. These are the signs that collectors pay attention to, because these aren't accidents you can fake. They're the result of something going wrong at the exact moment the coin was created, a moment frozen in metal for decades. And sometimes, those mistakes are worth more than perfection. But that's not all. There's another layer to this mystery. Some experts believe that a small number of these quarters may have been struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. Instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, a few could have been accidentally minted using experimental or leftover blanks from other coin productions. If you happen to find a 1976 D quarter that looks slightly different in color, heavier, or with an unusual shine, you might be holding something incredibly rare, something that was never meant to exist. And in the world of coin collecting, the rarer the story, the higher the price. Now imagine this: that you're cleaning your car. You reach under the seat and find a handful of coins. You almost ignore them, almost toss them aside. But something makes you pause. You pick up one quarter. You look closer, and suddenly, your heart starts racing. The letters don't look right. They look doubled. Your hands start to shake. Because in that moment, you realize you might be holding a coin worth more than your house, more than your car, more than everything in your bank account combined. This is what makes coin collecting so powerful, that it's not just about history, it's not just about metal, it's about possibility. The possibility that something incredibly valuable has been hiding in plain sight all along, waiting for someone observant enough to notice, for someone curious enough to look closer, for someone like you. Now here's the truth. Not every 1976 D quarter is worth millions. Most are still just worth 25 cents. But that's exactly what makes this so exciting. Because the rare ones look almost identical to the common ones, there's no flashing sign, no obvious marker. Just tiny, subtle differences that only reveal themselves to those who know what to look for. That's why people miss them. That's why these coins stay in circulation for decades. And that's why stories like this keep happening. Ordinary people stumbling upon extraordinary treasures. Start checking. Check your wallet. Check your coin jars. Check that old collection you haven't looked at in years. Pay attention to every 1976 quarter you find, especially those with the D mint mark. Look closely at the details. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Take your time, because one small detail, one tiny doubling, one unusual feature could be the difference between spare change and $1 million discovery. And remember, someone is going to find the next one. That's not speculation, that's inevitability. These coins are still out there, still circulating, still waiting. Because right now, somewhere in the world, a person is about to discover something incredible. A coin they've seen 100 times before, but never truly looked at. Until now. And when they do, everything changes. Don't ignore your change anymore. Don't overlook the ordinary, because hidden within the most common objects can be the rarest treasures of all. That 1976 D Mint Mark Washington quarter isn't just a coin, it's a mystery, it's a legend, it's a life-changing opportunity, and it might already be in your hands. Imagine holding something in your hand that could instantly change your life, something hiding in plain sight for years, overlooked by everyone around it. Most people toss it in jars or forget it under their couch cushions. But one tiny detail makes it a treasure beyond belief. It all began at the Denver Mint back in 2013. The Great Basin Quarter was just another coin in a long line of state quarters. But that year, something unusual happened. A subtle minting error created a version of this quarter that collectors would later describe as nothing short of miraculous. The difference is nearly invisible to the untrained eye, yet it's enough to send collectors scrambling and auction houses into frenzy. Most people don't realize how coins are made. Blanks are stamped, dies wear down, errors occur. Sometimes these errors are minor, a misplaced ridge, a doubling in the design. But sometimes, a coin is created that is so rare that it instantly becomes the holy grail of a collection. The 2013 D Great Basin Quarter has one of these errors, and it almost went unnoticed. Collectors who discovered this coin first were shocked. One man found it in a stack of quarters he'd been saving for years. At first, he thought it was just another ordinary state quarter. But something about the way the light caught the coin, the faint doubling of the lettering, made him pause. He had no idea at that moment that his pocket change would soon be worth millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The man took the coin to a dealer for appraisal, and the reaction was immediate and electric. The dealer's eyes widened, and he whispered a number that seemed impossible. $1.4 million. It was almost unbelievable. A coin no one expected, sitting quietly in someone's pocket, suddenly worth a fortune. This isn't a fairy tale. Auction records confirm it. The Great Basin Quarter with the D Mint mark, the rarest of its kind, has sold for jaw-dropping sums. Collectors across the country are scrambling to find theirs, checking every roll, every loose change jar. Dealers are traveling states to hunt down these coins. And the reason is simple. The error is real, the rarity is undeniable, and the demand is insane. Every minute, thousands of these coins are still hiding in plain sight. In piggy banks, in couch cushions, in loose change on counters. But only a few have the subtle feature that makes them worth millions. It's not a scratch, not a discoloration. It's a tiny minting anomaly, almost imperceptible, a doubling on the word basin that makes all the difference. This is the exact feature collectors look for when identifying the coin. Imagine the thrill of realizing the coin you've had for years isn't just change, it's a life-changing artifact. One woman found hers while cleaning out her car's cup holder. At first, she laughed, thinking it was silly to even check. But a moment later, her hands were shaking as the dealer confirmed the same unbelievable number, over $1 million. One tiny coin, one miraculous minting error, one life, transformed forever. And it's not just about the money. There's a story behind every coin, a history that collectors cherish. The 2013 D Great Basin Quarter represents not only a hidden treasure, but also a symbol of possibility. A reminder that sometimes, fortune is hiding where you least expect it, waiting for the observant, the patient, the lucky few. Millions of quarters were produced in 2013. Only a handful carry this exact error. Only a few will ever be discovered, and yet, any one of them could be sitting in your drawer, waiting for you to notice. The suspense, the rarity, the potential, It's almost too much to imagine that even seasoned collectors can overlook this coin. It requires careful inspection, a trained eye. Look at the D mint mark. Look closely at the word basin. The doubling is faint but unmistakable once you know what to see. Many people confuse this coin with ordinary wear or damage, and that mistake costs them millions. Some collectors have traveled hundreds of miles, opening rolls at banks, visiting estate sales, digging through forgotten jars. Every find is a story of excitement, disbelief, and sometimes heartbreak. One collector found 3 potential coins, only to have 2 disqualified for subtle wear. The one remaining coin, however, had the anomaly, the miraculous doubling, and the value? Over $1.4 million. You might be thinking this could never happen to you. But the truth is, it can. The Great Basin Quarter is still out there. It's still hiding in pockets, drawers, coin boxes. And the next one could belong to you. The thrill of discovery, the rush of knowing you might be holding a $1 million coin in your hand, is what drives collectors every day. Remember, the secret lies in the details. The D mint mark must be clear. The lettering, the subtle doubling of the word basin, is the sign of the coin's true value. Any scratches, wear, or attempts to clean it can destroy the value, so handle with care. A single look under good lighting can reveal whether you're holding ordinary change or a fortune. And here's the kicker. This coin's value isn't just theoretical. Auctions have proven it. Collectors have paid millions. Dealers have offered extraordinary sums. One man's small discovery became a headline, a lesson in patience, observation, and luck. And the coin? It sits in a safe now, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. One tiny detail, one fleeting observation, could turn a simple quarter into $1 million miracle. Collectors have lost sleep over it. Dealers have fought for it. And the lucky few have changed their lives forever. The 2013 D Great Basin Quarter is more than a coin. It's a story, a mystery, a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And the excitement, the anticipation, the sheer possibility is something you can feel the moment you hold it. If you want to find it, here's what to do. Examine every 2013 D Great Basin Quarter you own. Look closely at the lettering on the back. Look for doubling on the word basin. Compare to a standard coin if needed. Do not clean or polish it. Even small abrasions can reduce its value. This is not just a coin, it's a rare piece of history. And history has a way of rewarding those who notice the smallest details. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, overlooked, undervalued, waiting for the moment you finally recognize it for what it truly is, a piece of luck, of history, of fortune, worth over $1 million. Imagine holding that power in your hand, knowing that one small discovery could change everything. That's the magic of coin collecting and the miracle of the 2013 D Great Basin Quarter. Most people would never look twice at a nickel from 2006. It's small, ordinary, easily ignored. But what if I told you that one specific version of that coin, a simple 2006 P mint mark Jefferson nickel, has been linked to values that climb into the millions? Not hundreds, not thousands, millions. That's exactly what makes it dangerous. Because while everyone else is tossing these coins into jars, spending them without a second thought, a handful of sharp-eyed collectors are quietly pulling them out of circulation and turning them into life-changing paydays. Oh, here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. This is not just another story about rare coins. This is about a modern coin, something you could still find today, hiding a secret so unexpected that even seasoned collectors missed it at first. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The year was 2006. The United States Mint was producing millions of Jefferson nickels as part of its regular circulation. Nothing special on the surface. Just another year. Another coin. Another routine production. But something unusual was happening behind the scenes. The Philadelphia Mint, subtle inconsistencies began slipping into the production process. Tiny deviations. Microscopic differences. The kind that would never be noticed by the average person. But collectors aren't average. And over time, whispers began to spread. Coins with strange doubling. Coins with distorted lettering. Coins with surfaces that looked off. At first, they were dismissed. Considered minor imperfections. Nothing worth getting excited about. But then came the discoveries that changed everything. One coin surfaced with what appeared to be extreme doubling on the obverse. Not the kind you need a microscope to see. The kind that jumps out at you. Bold. Unmistakable. Almost as if the design had been stamped twice, slightly out of alignment. Collectors were stunned, because this wasn't supposed to happen in 2006. Modern minting technology had supposedly eliminated major errors like this. And yet, there it was. Then another surfaced. And another. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these coins weren't just showing doubling. They were showing signs of die deterioration so severe that the details began to melt into each other. The steps of Monticello blurred. The lettering distorted. The portrait of Jefferson subtly altered in a way that felt almost surreal. And suddenly, what was once dismissed as a common coin became a mystery. At first, early examples sold for modest amounts. A few $100s, then a few thousand. But as more collectors began to understand what they were looking at, the market shifted, demand exploded. Because here's the truth most people don't realize: rarity isn't just about age. It's about uniqueness. And when you combine a modern coin with a dramatic, visible error, you create something extremely powerful in the collector world, something irresistible. And that's exactly what happened with the 2006 P. Jefferson nickel. High-grade examples with strong, visible errors started commanding serious attention. Auction houses took notice. Private collectors began competing. Prices climbed $10,000, $50,000, hundreds of thousands. And then came the sales that shocked even the experts. Coins in near-perfect condition, displaying bold, unmistakable errors, began pushing toward valuations that few believed possible for a nickel. Whispers of million-dollar potential started circulating. And eventually, reports emerged of top-condition specimens reaching staggering figures, approaching $3 million in estimated market value. $3 million for a nickel. Let that sink in. Now here's where things take a turn. Because not every 2006 P nickel is valuable. In fact, most of them are still worth exactly 5 cents. It comes down to details. And those details are hiding in plain sight. First, you need to look at the mint mark. The small p located on the obverse side of the coin. That tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. Without that, you're not even in the right category. But having the P isn't enough. Next comes the doubling. Look closely at the lettering, especially the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On rare error examples, you'll notice a clear shadow effect. A second impression, almost like the letters are vibrating or echoing. That's not damaged. That's not weird. That's a minting error. And it's one of the most sought-after features in this coin. Then there's Monticello on the reverse. This is where things get even more dramatic than on high-value specimens. The steps of Monticello appear weak or partially missing. In some cases, they look completely smoothed out. This is often the result of die issues, and collectors pay close attention to it, because the more unusual the appearance, the more desirable the coin becomes. But here's the twist most people miss. Condition is everything. A coin with these errors in poor condition might sell for a few $100s. But the same coin, preserved in near-perfect condition, untouched, uncirculated, can skyrocket in value. We're talking exponential differences. This is where grading comes into play. Coins that achieve top-tier grades, the kind that are nearly flawless, are incredibly rare. And when you combine that level of preservation with a dramatic mint error, you create something almost mythical. And that's why certain examples of the 2006 P. Jefferson nickel have reached such jaw-dropping valuations. But here's the part that should make you stop what you're doing. These coins were released into circulation. They weren't locked away. They weren't reserved for collectors. They were handed out as change, dropped into cash registers, passed from person to person, which means they're still out there, right now. In drawers, in jars, in old wallets, in forgotten collections, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Let me ask you again. This isn't about luck, but it's about awareness. Because once you understand what makes these coins valuable, you start seeing things differently. You stop overlooking the small details. You start paying attention. And that's when everything changes. Collectors who have found these coins didn't stumble upon them by accident. They were looking. They were curious. They asked questions. And when they saw something unusual, they didn't ignore it. They investigated. That's the mindset that turns pocket change into profit. That's the mindset that turns a nickel into a potential fortune. But there's one more thing you need to understand. The market doesn't wait forever. As more people become aware of these coins, The number of undiscovered examples shrinks, the opportunity window narrows, and the people who act first are the ones who benefit the most. So while others are scrolling, distracted, unaware, you now know something they don't. You know that a 2006 Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin, it's a possibility, a hidden opportunity, a silent contender for one of the most unexpected treasures in modern coin collecting. And the next move is yours. Check your change. Look closer. Stop what you're doing and think about this for just a second. What if the next coin you pull from your pocket isn't worth 5 cents, but 500,000, or even more? What if a simple Jefferson nickel, something you've ignored your entire life, is actually a silent lottery ticket hiding in plain sight? Because right now, across America, people are unknowingly spending one of the most mysterious and potentially valuable coins ever produced, the 1996 Jefferson nickel. And here's the part that should make you uneasy: some of these coins, in the right condition, with the right hidden errors, have been whispered about in collector circles, with jaw-dropping valuations reaching up to $3.1 million for a nickel. But how is that even possible? How can something so ordinary become so unbelievably valuable? The answer lies in a story most people have never heard, a story of precision, mistakes, and secrets buried deep inside the minting process. Let's go back to 1996, the United States. Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. Among them were millions of Jefferson nickels struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by a small but crucial detail: the P Mint mark. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. The coins looked identical to every other nickel in circulation. Same portrait of Thomas Jefferson, same Monticello on the reverse, same metallic shine. But beneath that ordinary surface, something went wrong. And when something goes wrong at the mint, it doesn't just create a mistake, it creates opportunity. You see, coin production is supposed to be flawless. Every detail is engineered with microscopic precision. But when a die is slightly misaligned, when pressure isn't evenly distributed, when a hubbing process is interrupted, the result can be a rare anomaly that collectors obsess over. And the 1996 nickel, quietly, became a breeding ground for some of the most fascinating and valuable mint errors ever discovered. Now here's where things start to get interesting. Collectors began noticing subtle differences, tiny distortions that the average person would never see: a faint doubling in the lettering, a slight shift in Jefferson's profile, unusual textures that seemed almost out of place at first. These were dismissed as minor imperfections, but then something bigger surfaced: a rare variety showing clear signs of double die characteristics, where the design appears duplicated, almost like a shadow trailing behind the original image. And suddenly, everything changed, because double die errors are not just mistakes, they are some of the most sought-after treasures in the coin collecting world. Why? Because they can't be faked easily, and they don't happen often, which means when one is discovered, its value can skyrocket overnight. Now, imagine this: you're holding a 1996 nickel. It looks normal, it feels normal, but under the right light, with the right angle, you notice something strange. The word Liberty doesn't look quite right. The numbers and the date seem slightly duplicated. Jefferson's eye, just slightly off. That's not damage, that's not wear, that's a minting error. And if it's the right kind, you're no longer holding 5 cents, you're holding a potential fortune. But the story doesn't stop there, because another twist began to unfold. Some of these nickels were found in near-perfect condition, coins that had somehow escaped circulation and remained untouched for decades. These are known as high-grade specimens, and in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A worn coin might be worth a few dollars, but a pristine coin, one graded at the highest levels, can command prices that defy logic. We're talking thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions. And that's exactly what has driven the legend of the 1996 Jefferson nickel. Reports began circulating of elite collectors paying extraordinary sums for coins that met two critical criteria: exceptional condition and a rare, verifiable mint error. That combination is explosive. It's what turns a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your change, not glanced at it, not spent it without thinking, but really looked at it? Because hidden among the billions of coins still in circulation, there could be one that changes everything. And here's the part most people don't realize: these coins are not locked away in museums. They're not all sitting in private collections. Many of them are still out there, still moving, still being passed from hand to hand, waiting for someone who knows what to look for now. Imagine the moment sitting at your kitchen table, you dump out a handful of coins. You start going through them one by one, pennies, quarters, dimes. And then you see Ida nickel 1996 with a P mint mark. Your heart doesn't race yet because you don't know, but then you remember something. You tilt the coin under the light, you look closer, and suddenly you see Ida doubling, a shift, something that shouldn't be there. That's the moment everything changes, because now it's not just a coin, it's a question. What is this really worth, and how far could it go? Stories from collectors suggest that the highest end examples of these error coins, especially those preserved in near-perfect condition, have reached astonishing valuations, with whispers of private sales climbing into the millions now. Whether every claim reaches that level is debated, but here's what isn't debated: rare error coins in elite condition can and do sell for life-changing amounts of money, and the 1996 P. Jefferson nickel has firmly planted itself in that conversation. So what exactly should you be looking for? First, the mint mark, a small p. Located to the right of Jefferson's portrait, no p. It's not the one next. The date 1996. No exceptions. The details: look closely at the lettering, Liberty and God we taste. To the date itself, do you see doubling, blurring, shadow-like outlines? That's your first clue. Now, check Jefferson's profile. Does it look slightly duplicated? Is there an unusual thickness to certain features? That's another sign. And finally, the condition: is the coin clean, sharp, unworn? Does it still have its original luster? Because the better the condition, the higher the potential value. But here's the twist: most people miss. Even coins that don't look perfect at first glance can still be valuable if they contain the right error, which means you cannot rely on assumptions. You have to check every single coin, because the difference between 5 cents and $500,000 could be a detail smaller than a grain of sand, and that's what makes this so powerful. This isn't about luck, Alan. It's about awareness. It's about knowing what others overlook. It's about seeing value where the world sees nothing. Right now, somewhere in the United States, someone is holding one of these nickels without realizing it. They might use it to buy a coffee, drop it in a tip jar, or leave it forgotten in a drawer, and just like that, a potential fortune disappears back into circulation. But that doesn't have to be your story, because now you know, now you understand what to look for. Now you have the advantage, and here's the truth that should stay with you: opportunities like this don't come with announcements. They don't knock on your door. They hide, they blend in the wait, and only those who pay attention, who take action, who look closer than everyone else, ever find them. So the next time you hear the clink of coins in your pocket, don't ignore it, don't dismiss it, because one of those coins could be the 1996 P. Jefferson nickel that changes everything. A coin that has traveled through countless hands. A coin that has been overlooked again and again. Right now, somewhere in America, a quiet little nickel is hiding in plain sight. It's not locked in a museum. It's not guarded in a vault. It's sitting in drawers, jars, glove compartments, even mixed in loose change at the bottom of a cup holder. And almost nobody knows what they're holding. Because this is the story of the 2006 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin so ordinary on the surface, yet so mysterious, so flawed, and so rare in its most extreme forms, that collectors have been willing to pay shocking amounts to own one. But here's the twist: not every 2006 P nickel is valuable. Only a select few, with hidden errors that most people overlook, have crossed into the world of serious money. And if you don't know what to look for, you could spin one without even realizing what you just lost. So the question is simple: could you already have one? Let's find out. The year is 2006. Billions of nickels are being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The design is modern, featuring Thomas Jefferson facing forward, a bold shift from the classic profile used for decades. To most people, it's just another redesign. But to collectors, it's a turning point, because whenever the mint changes a design, something unexpected tends to happen. New dies are created, new machinery is adjusted, new processes are tested, and in that chaos, mistakes slip through. Tiny, almost invisible mistakes that can transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now imagine this: a coin leaves the mint, not perfect, but flawed. Maybe the die was slightly misaligned. Maybe the metal didn't flow correctly. Maybe the pressure was just a little too strong, or not strong enough. That one imperfect strike becomes something unique, something rare, something valuable, but only if someone notices. And that's where the story gets interesting. Because among the millions of 2006 Jefferson nickels, a handful have surfaced with errors so dramatic they've stunned collectors. That we're talking about double dies, where the design appears duplicated, almost like a shadow is following Jefferson's face. We're talking about off-center strikes, where the coin looks like it slipped during minting, leaving part of the design missing. We're talking about die cracks and cuts, where the surface appears broken or swollen, creating bizarre shapes that shouldn't exist. And then, there are the extreme cases. Coins struck on the wrong planchet, coins with severe misalignments, coins that look almost fake, but they're not fake, that they're mistakes. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes can be worth a fortune. Here's where the tension rises. Because not all errors are equal. Some might sell for a few dollars, others for hundreds. But the rarest, the most dramatic, the most visually striking errors, those are the ones that ignite bidding wars. Those are the ones that make headlines. Those are the ones that can push a nickel's value into the thousands, tens of thousands, and in extreme, almost mythical cases, toward the million-dollar conversation. Yes, you heard that right. A nickel being discussed in the same breath as $1 million. It sounds unbelievable. But in the world of rare coins, condition and rarity create a perfect storm. And when a coin like the 2006 Jefferson nickel is found in pristine, near-perfect condition, with a rare, dramatic error, its value can skyrocket beyond what most people think is possible. Let me ask you something. Not glanced at it, not spent it, actually looked at it. Because the difference between 5 cents and 5 figures or more is often just a few seconds of attention. Now picture this. A collector sits at a table, examining coins under a bright light. He picks up a 2006 nickel. At first glance, it looks normal, but then he tilts it slightly, and suddenly, something catches his eye. A doubling in the lettering. A subtle shift in Jefferson's features. A detail that shouldn't be there. His heart rate picks up. He checks again, and again, and again, because finding one of these errors is like spotting a needle in a haystack, except the needle is made of money, and the haystack is the loose change you carry every day. Now here's where things take a surprising turn. Most people assume that older coins are always more valuable, that the older it is, the more it's worth. But the 2006 Jefferson nickel challenges that belief. It proves that even modern coins you might have received yesterday, can hold incredible value. If they have the right characteristics, if they were struck at the right moment, if they carry the right flaw. And that's what makes this story so powerful, because it's not about history locked away in the past, that it's about opportunity, right now, right in your hands. But let's go deeper. First, examine Jefferson's face closely. Oh, you see any doubling? Any shadow-like effect around the eyes, nose, or lips? That could be a double die, one of the most sought-after errors. Next, check the lettering. Look at the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." That tiny detail could change everything. Then, inspect the edges of the coin itself. An off-center strike can instantly increase value, especially if the error is dramatic. And don't ignore the surface. Raised lines, cracks, or unusual bumps could indicate a die break or cud, errors that collectors actively search for. But here's the catch. Condition matters a lot. A heavily worn coin, even with an error, might not reach its full potential. But a coin in near-perfect condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, that's where the magic happens. That's where collectors start competing. That's where prices climb. Because rarity plus condition equals demand, and demand drives value. Now imagine this scenario. Two people each have a 2006 Jefferson nickel. One spends it without a second thought. The other takes a closer look. One walks away with 5 cents. The other could walk away with a story that changes everything. It all comes down to awareness. Curiosity. That moment when you decide to look just a little closer. And here's the most fascinating part. Many of these valuable nickels weren't discovered by experts. They were found by ordinary people. People like you. People who simply paid attention, who took a second look, because sometimes it is, and when it is, the reward can be extraordinary. The next time you receive change, pause. Don't rush. Don't assume. Look at the date. Look for that small P, mint mark, and then really look, because hidden within that ordinary piece of metal could be an extraordinary opportunity, a hidden error. A rare variation. A silent secret waiting to be discovered. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you reach into your pocket, you won't just be holding a nickel, that you'll be holding a possibility, a question, a chance. Because fortunes don't always arrive with noise and attention. Sometimes they arrive quietly, disguised as something you almost ignored. And the only difference between those who find